Hi, everybody. It's Lisa Murray here, and we're doing our Martini Talks with one of my very dearest friends, Patti. She's been with me in my writing life for years and years and years. So we started out, in 2006, and you were
I was the editor in 2006.
And now she's the publisher. And we have so much fun. We do photo shoots for the covers, and we write all kinds of cool stuff. And I wanted to talk to her tonight and share with her views about the universe, and she has a couple of tricks up her sleeve too. She's already told me she wants to flip the switch, flip the script, so to speak, and do more talking about me being the one that needs to be interviewed. So we'll see what she's got up her sleeve.
Well, now, Alisa Murray, I'm accustomed to being the one doing the interviews, so let's just go from there. So tell me, 2020, we're 8 months into the year. We're 6 months into our current situation. What's your takeaway so far from 2020 and COVID?
That this never happened, that we're in a magical spell. It feels like somebody's waved a magic wand and we're in a movie set and it's all a bad dream. I mean, it's just, February started with me almost dying, and then everything crashed with the travel business. I mean, all of my clients had to be moved, and what a nightmare that's been, getting everybody rescheduled, and then the photography business. And then, of course, I didn't want to go show houses because I don't know if people in their houses have COVID.
Absolutely.
So and then our 30th wedding anniversary happened, and Brian was like, "What are we doing?" I'm like, "Not a thing. I'm going to the garden. I'm going to go play with the tomatoes. I'll see you later, alligator." I said, "That's next year's our 30th anniversary."
Well, it sounds like one of your takeaways is one of mine, which is flexibility.
Yeah.
This has been the year that we've had to be flexible. We've had to pivot. You and I both, as entrepreneurs, have discussed that and pivoting in different ways. I will tell you, one of the things that's really been a takeaway for me is family in two different incarnations. First and foremost, our immediate family,
right?
Like your immediate family. There's been a deeper bond. It's more, we're all in this together. We're helping each other out. And you and I both have a substantial circle of friends. One of the things that this has taught me is my circle of friends have diminished in size, but not in quality. I have really become to realize who my ride or dies are. And I think those are two very positive takeaways from this year.
Yeah, it's because what's interesting? I have people who text me and call me if they haven't heard from me in a couple of days or at least a couple of weeks. They'll be like me, you. There's a handful of people and clients that were really never really clients anymore. They've become friends. And then I've got people that I have actually texted to check on that haven't even responded. It's just like, we don't need you for photography. So, or what do you think about travel? We're not doing travel. We're not selling what do you want, kind of thing, which is very interesting. It's like, I don't want anything. I'm just saying hello. How you doing? Are y'all okay? And yeah, it's the same feeling that I've got.
But in a way, for me, that's been very, it's been very telling. I'm not going to say it hasn't been hurtful at times, because it is
hurtful.
It has. But it's really made me realize who and what's important. One of the key things that I implemented and that you and I have discussed, about 10 weeks ago, I would just go through my phone, go through my Rolodex. Yes, I still have a Rolodex.
I know.
And I would just, 3 people a week I would randomly call that I wouldn't normally see on a day-to-day basis. And I will tell you, there were times that I had to introduce myself a couple of times and say, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, I know you from here." Or maybe I'd only had one meeting with them regarding a philanthropic effort or regarding a business. So we really didn't have a connection yet. But I've done that, and that's been very revealing to me as well. I'd say 90% of the people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you took a minute to call me. Thank you so much." And then some of the people were just as you said.
Weird.
What do you want? And
yeah,
I'm like, well, hey, boo, how are you?
I know. It's been kind of bizarre. And it's interesting, too, to me that you have people that they just know that. I think it has to do with manners. I mean, I just think it has to do with etiquette and manners and being sweet. And me and the whole sweet life stuff. And if you can't be sweet, then I don't want to be. I'm done. At this point, I'm done, because there's no time for being anything less than sweet.
Well, and I will say, and this goes exactly with what you're saying. I have personalized note cards. You have personalized note. I have written more handwritten thank you notes, how are you notes. I mean, I think I'm personally keeping the USPS in business.
Well, it's funny that you said that too, because, with doing what we're doing here with Martini Talks, I like to write a thank you note, because people don't have to take out the time to do this. This is my little doodah that I'm doing on the YouTube. Yeah. It may turn out to be something fantastic. It may turn out to be absolutely nothing more than wonderful conversations for us to look back on when we're old and gray and look at what we did during that crazy 2020, right?
Right.
But I had somebody send me a message back because I said, "What's your address?" Because I didn't know if they were still in their office, if they were at home, and I had their office address. I'm like, "Why? What do you need it for?" And I was like, "I was gonna write you a thank you note." I'm like, "Oh, how sweet!" They flipped, but it was like the first initial response was, "What do you want with my address?" And it's just funny. People are really on edge.
Very much so. Very much so. But now your mama and your nana and my mama always taught me. Now, when you write that thank you note and someone's at your home, you're really supposed to slip it in their handbag. You're not supposed to mail it, sister. You're supposed to give it to them as they leave.
Oh, that would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember
that's the Southern thing. They're supposed to go away with that. And when they get home that night and go in their handbag to retrieve their items, they find your little personal thank you.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
I'm not that stealth many times, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Well, I'll have to remember that because I haven't been either. I've been literally go to the garden, water the vegetables, pray they don't die, come in, clean up. I've never been more dirty this year in my entire life. I mean, Brian was just yesterday. He was like, "Oh my God, you're like, you just wallowed in dirt." I'm like, "No, dude. I mean, I'm out fertilizing tomatoes and working on eggplants and pinching this and tending to that. And you're just dirty." And get home and come in the house, whatever, get a bath, get a shower, and then get dressed and put makeup on and mic up and tape. I don't know if I'd have time to think about a thank you note before.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this, nurturing and growing and tending to and caring for, it's a dirty business, whether it's a baby or a garden.
It is. It is.
Mine are grown and I'm still tending to them. And you are too.
I am too.
Even more so now.
Yeah.
I will say that, Tim was very ill with the COVID. And fortunately, we didn't have to hospitalize him. He was very ill for about 9 days. And my babies, grown babies, took that hard.
It's scary.
Took it real hard.
It's scary.
So I think our role as mothers, as nurturers, as caregivers has been ratcheted up a bit more. And one of the things that I thought about on the way over here is for 100 years, you've ended your column with one simple phrase. And that's take care of you. And right now, we need to take care of each other, but we got to take care of us too.
We do. I was talking to Heather the other day, and you
so
guys
cheers
met
to that. Cheers to taking care of us. Yeah.
Yeah. You remember the other day, you guys were watching us meet the team for alisamurray, and Heather was here. And,
we love Heather.
I know, we do. And she said, I sent her a message. I said, "Are you coming to help me this weekend?" Because I had a couple of shoots, and I'd really like for her to videotape me while I'm shooting. And she goes, I'm busy all weekend. And I was like, busy doing what? Because it's like, what are you doing? Because she's really home with the children. She goes, I'm doing self-care. And I was like, self-care, what's that? And she was like, she's playing a bubble bath and doing her own toenails. And she's just, that was what she's doing. But that whole taking care of you,
very important.
She spent the weekend taking care of herself.
Because we're not running out to the spa.
We're not.
And we're not,
No, I've learned how to do my press on.
Yes.
I figured out how to do my press on. Brian's like, I hope that stays a trend in this house. Because every time that we would go, Victoria Ann would meet me, and it'd be $180 every 2 weeks.
Brian's saving money. He's saving money.
So he's thrilled to pieces when the Amazon truck shows up with my little slip-on fingernails.
Press-on nails.
It's funny.
Well, if you had a crystal ball and you could look into 2021, what do you think would be the one thing that you really want to accomplish in the coming year?
I want this YouTube channel to take off. I do. Because I can do it from anywhere. If we needed to sell the house, hopefully we won't, but if we needed to sell the house, I could still do it. If I got ready to retire, I could still do it. I could always be doing something. I could always be making a recipe and videotaping it. I could always be doing something in the garden or a craft or meeting with a friend, and with the travel business, that's what I kind of thought it was going to be. You know, they're going to pay me and Brian to fly away and feature resorts in the magazine with you. And we're going to slowly stop shooting as much as we did in the studio. And we'd spend half the year on vacation, touring resorts and shooting and featuring and all that. And that's really what I thought it was going to look like.
You know, but even when, quote, all of this passes, or there is a vaccination, or there is something, I'm not going to be the first rattle out of the box when to go somewhere. I am going to be very cautious. And, you know, I'm not trying to say anything that's anti-economy, and anti-supporting people, because you and I both have so many friends that have their own businesses, and you and I have done a yeoman's job of supporting them during this time, and we will continue to do so. Yeah. But, you know, Tim really wanted to go to Europe next year. Don't know that I'll be doing that.
No, and all of my clients that are scheduled to be in Europe are scheduled in Europe for the late part of next year. We've moved everybody from whatever they were going to do in 2020 to like September, October of 2021. And even then, fingers crossed, don't know if that's going to happen. It very well may be moved to 2022.
Well, I think that we all are more aware of our own mortality, of our family, and what that means to everybody. Because you know what? It's really not about me and you getting sick. It's about me bringing it home to my mama.
Yeah.
Or, you know, one of the kids bringing it home to one of us.
That's what's scary.
Yeah.
That's what's scary about school. You know, as we start school back. And, and you know, we've always been on the same schedule as the main, you know, school district where we live. And for some reason, they've taken off in a wild blue yonder, and we're on school. We're going to school. We're going to school. So I'm freaked out a little bit about it. James Edwards freaked out a little bit about it. We're hoping that it doesn't start up 2 weeks later. Everybody has to come home again and come home sick, and it could have been avoided.
I agree.
You know, I even saw where some of the universities are making the students and parents sign a waiver that they won't sue the school.
Wow.
That's pretty wild.
Well, you know, both Cass and Coulter at the University of Texas. Cass is in graduate school. 100% of her graduate school classes this semester, as well as her job, are online. But since she's in graduate school, next semester she has to have a job placement, a career placement, most likely in a hospital. How do you think I feel about that?
Yuck.
So would it be a wonderful experience for her? Could she do so much good, especially now?
Sure.
Absolutely. But as a mother, I know.
Yeah. And we didn't take the SAT. Right. Still have no SAT scheduled to take. And he's already decided. It's like, as soon as we get done with the senior year, he's doing school at home. Because I'm going to do my first couple of years online at home. Maybe the first 4 years online at home. And maybe not even go in. I mean, he had thought, well, I'll do part of it, maybe get into business school or something. I'm just going to let him stay at home as long as he wants to stay at home.
But that makes me so sad, because our young people now, this whole college experience
is over.
That's being put off or
But you know what? They were already scared to death because of all these shootings.
True.
I mean, that's the reality. I mean, it's almost, and that's what I mean by this whole magic. We're living in a magic wand waved over us kind of experience. It's like, first you have, it's not safe to go to school because you're going to get shot. Now everybody's walking around wearing masks. Well, it's like we're not even in the same country. It's just the weirdest.
Yeah, the bulletproof backpacks that were the big thing.
Well, and I featured them on that television show that I did years ago. I mean, all of it is just becoming so bizarre. And at the same time, being at home, working from home, which we've always done anyway, but it reminds me a lot of when Nana was growing up, because, you know, they had the farm and Granddaddy had like a little office in the front of the house, and people would come in and they would send, you know, bring their bill or whatever it was that they needed to pay, and or they would come in and want their money, their hours of how long they'd worked on the farm or whatever, you know, and everything was at home, and whatever you ate was what you grew in your yard, and you knew it was safe because you grew it yourself, and the whole world was different. There was Nana and the horse and buggy. There was no airplanes. There wasn't any of this business of going overseas to see some other part of the world. Everybody was in their own little bubble, and as the borders are closed. And I just read this morning, you know, Canada and Mexico, Jamaica, now you have to take a COVID test, present it to them as you go in with your passport. And then when you get there, you have to wait a couple more days and take it again. And I mean, there's a lot of restrictions with different countries on what you can and can't do. I mean, it's like everybody's going into their own little bubbles again, and it's stepping back in time. At the same time, you think you should be going forward, and the kids, especially yours and mine, that are in that window of going out there into the world, starting college, starting new jobs, going to the hospital and starting a job and a career. It's scary. It's just a weird, it feels like a dream.
No, I agree. It's almost like evil Disney.
It's evil.
You know?
It's for sure evil.
Because Disney is a magical place, but this is definitely not Disney.
No, it's not
like
magical. I mean, you know what I mean? It feels like everybody's been waved. It's almost like that Phantasm movie with Mickey Mouse where everything's going awry and the mops multiply and everybody's following along and the water's filling up in the room and some wizard needs to show up and just go kaboom, enough, and bring us all back to normal, because where we're at right now is not normal.
Well, and I personally believe that wizard will come, but that's our Lord and Savior. That's just my personal belief.
Yeah, and that's scary too.
Yeah,
because when you think about all the other stuff that's going on, and if you're paying attention to every single little thing going on, peace treaties and election and all the bickering and fighting and crazy stuff that we see every day on the news when we stop to watch it, which I try not to because it's just a lot of extra noise. It's pointing in that direction.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the news in months. I tell you, one good thing that has come out of COVID is, you know that I'm an avid reader, as are you. So I installed a library in our home in March, about the size of this one. Of course, mine are very organized by, you know, like you have to put a little card in there if you take one out. And you have to sign for it, and there's blood involved, and you know how I am. Not listening to mainstream media, and radio or TV. I'm reading a lot more, and I really like podcasts. I've really started listening to podcasts, you know, when I'm in the car. Because I just think it's filled with so much negativity. Not that I want to be uninformed.
Right.
I do want to be informed.
Yeah.
But I don't need the sensationalism and the drama and the negativity.
No, and literally it's on all day. You could find a channel on whatever network you watch, and it's all day with whatever version of slant you want to see. You know, it's there. It's there for you to soak it up if you want to soak it up. Right. So, I don't know. I just hope that Nana would say this world's going to hell in a handbasket. She said this world was going to hell in a handbasket when she was alive. She's been dead for 17 years. You know, she lived to be 102. She didn't like it when electricity and all these other things happened, like man on the moon and airplanes and all the new stuff that was happening in her world, which was so far-fetched in her mind from what she could vision was normal. But it was positive things at that point. This is all so
absolutely
negative.
You know, I lost my grandmother at 100, and I'm very thankful that she's not here dealing with all this.
I'm very grateful, especially with Mom and Daddy both being in the medical profession. I mean, not that they would have been practicing medicine now anyway, but to have Daddy going out there and delivering babies and having the experience of what it's like to give birth now with what's going on, I know that would not make him very happy at all.
Well, ever since we came back, you know, we closed our business, our publishing company, for about 4 weeks, and we've come back with a limited staff. And I'll tell you, we're focused on positivity. We really are. With our weekly Corona Chronicles, we put something out there every week that's positive. It's completely and totally based in Fort Bend. It's the good news. The episode that comes out tomorrow is going to talk about Sugar Land's Salute to Healthcare Heroes Week, which is next week.
That's good.
There are parades at all the hospitals. There's coloring contests where children can go online, download some heroes, color it, scan it, submit it back to the city of Sugar Land to win prizes. I mean, really, we work really hard on focusing on the positivity, as I know you do as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I go out there in the garden and I'm like, hey, sweet lifers, look at the butterfly, or hey, sweet lifers, look at this beautiful flower, or look at this great eggplant, and what are we going to do with this eggplant? Because so many people are like, ooh, I don't like eggplant, or whatever. But it's always trying to be upbeat and happy and not bring anything that's in the picture that's negative, because we got enough of that crap. We don't need any extra more of that from any other direction.
So what is your best advice to entrepreneurs to try to ride out this year?
Well, for those that can figure out what to do, if they've not been in the passion that they were already in, they need to move to the passion. Because, Jerry T told me a long time ago before he died, swim with the current, not against it. Sure. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. For me, I'd already done that, right? Because shooting babies, writing columns, being with you and doing all that we do, it's already what I love. So for someone who's in a business that they can't do the business that they love, if there's anything that they think they could give, they would do for free, whatever it be, advice, consulting, even making bread and, taking it to your neighbor, something that you're doing that's giving of yourself to help you pass the time. And the other thing is to become educated. I mean, like I'm taking a WordPress class. I've been on Hillsdale College taking stuff on Aristotle for the column that I'm writing for you. I've learned how to do the photo editing for Premiere Pro, for learning how to do the YouTube. I'm in several YouTube universities trying to learn how to do this particular medium, because being in front of the camera is way different from being behind the camera. So ratcheting up that skill sets and getting yourself some more education. I mean, there's really nothing else you can do, but that's a positive thing to be doing.
Absolutely. And it goes along with what I've been saying this whole time is we as entrepreneurs have to learn how to pivot. We are going to do things differently. We're certainly doing things differently at our company. We're doing a lot more with a lot less. And then branching off into different areas, learning about new things and new opportunities. I think the ability to pivot is really going to be very important for the next few years.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's not just going to end when 2020 is over. I think that we're looking at a projected at least a couple of years. I don't know that any of that will ever come back to the way it was before. I will say this on the travel business, because so many people that booked online, there's nobody to help them. So when they come calling for help because they need help, a lot of people realized that the big online stuff was not giving them the service that they needed. And so they pulled to the travel agency to say, hey, can you help me get me out of this mess? And hopefully when the time comes to rebook, they'll remember that and be loyal and call and say, let me use you, and not go with a online whatever. So I think the travel industry has changed completely in terms of the vision of what the travel agent's going to look like for the future.
It's almost going to revert back into like the 80s and 90s when we all would go somewhere, but we would call our travel agent. I think in this dehumanizing era, the personal touch is becoming more important than ever.
It matters. And I think that with the photography, and I think that with the real estate, and I think that with the publishing, I mean, everything was going to be there. It's just going to be there differently. I mean, Santa Claus is coming. Santa Claus is coming to Sugar Land, but Santa Claus is going to do something outside.
Sure.
And, the children are not going to be bouncing in a bounce house come October in their Halloween costumes. We're just not going to do that. It just isn't safe to do that. But they'll come next year. They'll come maybe the year later. I don't know. We don't know what that looks like. But all of the businesses that have to do with people that are together, restaurants especially, they've got to figure out a way to do it differently. They've got to figure out less people, maybe not more money, but maybe less people, maybe some sort of a streamline. And that's a big challenge for everybody. I mean, Brian and I were talking about it last night. The skyscrapers, when we came to Houston in 1991, were empty. They were empty. 1990, Houston got hit. That's when we came to Houston and bought real estate. They got slammed, and it was like a neighborhood. You would drive through, and there would be like 3 or 4 houses that were completely vacated. People had lost their homes. They had left it vacant. They had vandalized it. Buildings were left like shells. Now all the stuff is full. Well, now it's not full. So what's going to happen? Are those skyscrapers going to become apartments? Are they going to become tear downs? I mean, the days of going into a huge building and the logistics of going up and down that elevator and keeping everybody safe with 3,000 employees in a skyscraper in downtown Houston, I just can't conceive of that even being possible.
It's no longer a necessity. People have learned, and I think not only can we work from home or work remotely, but we can be much more efficient and much more effective in doing so.
And Patti, what's funny about that is, you remember way back when I got featured on the magazine when you were the editor, and the HOA came after me because I was working at home. And I've always worked at home. And people will come see me and they're like, I don't understand how you can do all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't sit in a car. I don't sit in traffic. When I wake up, I bounce out of my bed and I put my wig on my head and I go to work. And I have every room in my house designated for a specific thing that I'm doing. And I can get a whole lot more done because I'm at home getting it done, like one thing after another. Chores, check it off my list. And people that have to go and get in that car and work and be in traffic, you lose so much time and so much efficiency. They've gotten a taste of it. And I don't think they're going to want to go back.
No, I don't either.
I really don't.
I don't either. All right, so parting words for the year. So it's December 31st, 2020. You're ringing in the new year. What is going to be your one wish? What is going to be your parting words for 2020? and keep it clean.
I was going to say, they've always had me on a 10-second delay when I do live TV because I have a tendency to drop some words.
No, I said keep it clean, girl. Keep it clean.
Girl, I don't know.
I'm going to go with good riddance.
Yeah, adios muchacha. I mean, I don't know. Just something like it's just be done. Just be done.
A friend of mine told me the other day, she said, we're going to get to the point where when something bad happens or, you want to expound something and say, something negative about somebody, something or somebody, you're going to go, oh, well, that's a 2020.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just really, it's not just one thing. It's like everything and the everything all over the world. And that's the thing that's just so mind boggling about it. I mean, like you hear bad things happen and then you're like, oh yeah, that's a bad thing that happened. And you pray for them to be better. But this is just crazy. It's just crazy.
Well, I say we wait for and we ring in 2021 together and on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely, darling.
And with that, I think that's a wrap. Thank you for having me on Martini Talks.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You guys, if you guys have found any value in this, please do me a favor and like and share and ring that bell so that you're notified each week. Know that Martini Talks drops every Friday night at 6 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.